Hello, life path number 33. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to the Sapphire Spider Oracle channel. If it's your first time being here, thanks for stopping in. I think this is a great series. All the life path numbers. I decided to do this and let's get started. So if you have the master life path number of 33, you also have therefore a life path number of 6. I just did that reading. We might have just a little bit of crossover because you have both of those life paths, but let's get started. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe as you see fit. And these two cards right here just popped, so I'm going to take those. All right. King of Swords. 9 of Wands. So I'm just over going back to the beginning. Back to the beginning. Okay. Someone said there was a war. That makes sense because okay, for some of you guys it was a divorce. Some of you guys it was a divorce, because when I knocked this card away, I was like, that's the father figure. And if it's not like that for you, then there might be an ancestor talking to you. When it said there's a war, it's just kind of giving me reference to grandparents, immigrants, people who might have moved somewhere, people who fought in a war, something like that. So there's something significant there about either a grandfather or a father energy, possibly divorce, possibly separation, possibly immigration. I'm not getting the sense that someone necessarily died. It's just kind of like there was a big change, right? That moved this person either out of your life or they moved you, right? Like they moved you somewhere else. They may have really been in a war, because that's where this is very much a warrior figure, kind of returning home from battle, going into battle, kind of still thinking about some things. We often see this card with they have a bandage around their head. They're like the wounded warrior energy. So, right, wounded vets, just people who mentally have PTSD. There's something there, like, and that's where a divorce, right? It's a type of war. So there's something there about that kind of energy, some kind of past trauma, immigration, separation, division, divorce, something along those lines. There was a war. And that very much starts off your reading. So I'm feeling like this is something that you noticed and felt and became aware of in your childhood, and it therefore affected you. The father or grandfather figure could be an air sign. Could be Air Force. With the swords, could definitely just be someone who's very intellectual, very smart. Yeah, I'm getting really the sense of like someone who is crippled, suffering in some kind of way because of this message coming through. And it could be yourself. You could be someone that went to, I mean, that's the thing, is like we've been over in the Middle East for a long time too. So coming back to someone that's more present now, you may be inspired by your forefathers to go into battle and go do these things. And that might have been what some people later regret and feel foolish about. It was a new chapter of life. It was a new journey. Specifically with how this fool is standing and figured, it makes me feel like someone suffered physically and mentally because of this energy. Going into battle, separation, divorce, all of these things can leave you feeling a little crippled and hurt and lost and just kind of ungrounded and confused, right? This is something that has greatly shaped you in this life path, one way or another, from ancestors or your own actions, your own path in life. And that's where coming back to that kind of divorce separation message, right? Starting back at zero, having nothing, right? Being literally poor. So that's where there's something here, some big event regarding, I would say, especially a father or grandfather figure, really set the foundation for everything that's happening in your life path, one way or another. It could have inspired you yourself to also go into battle and do things like this, served in the armed forces, and if not, then there was some other great traumas that have, with this 9 of Wands, it's kind of giving me that repeated cycle, right? It's like, just said, like generational trauma being passed down, right? Generational trauma being passed down. That's something that is the focus right here for your reading. So in your path, life path number 33, you are working through generational traumas. It just said, like, there's a big message coming for you, though, because that's where I was like, wow, that's a pretty like, that's a foundation I wasn't expecting to get in this reading. And so with that, it's just kind of saying, like, there's a lot more coming up for you because of how it all began. Yep, and that definitely came out for life path number 6. And look at it pairing up with the 9. So this is where it's kind of explaining, like, this specific event, time and place, things that happened in your life path. And this is the master life path of it. So it's like the bigger scale. All of this caused a desire to be free from these generational traumas because of how much stress it caused. And it itself wounded you. And that's where it starts to create this pattern and this circle. And that's where she is on her knees praying to be free. As 9 of Swords is very much a heavy mental energy of just nightmares, dark energy, need to be free. Whether it's self-imposed or it's brought on by the environment around you, it's a stressful time, stressful energy. All of this brought in all of this, and it's like, I just want to be free, I just want to be free, I just want to be free. Because I don't want to keep repeating this energy, this cycle, the generational trauma that you witnessed from a very early age and you saw happening around you. Ooh, it just said, like, cycle breaker, and it like gave it to me like someone like punched, and like I heard like a metal chain like go clink and like break. Like, it was just like, yeah, you're a cycle breaker. Life path number 33, and that's what that master life path is. There they are, right there. Ooh. Here's cycle breaker. Got an 18 and an 8 right here. I like how that kind of flowed out. Moon card does represent a lot of fear sometimes, but I don't usually get that off of this in this deck just because it's such a beautiful card. It's noticeably feminine. There's a lot of feminine energy over here that feels overall very soothing compared to what was being talked about here in this cycle. The moon is your inner self, right? It's like you learned how to soothe yourself very much because you are a cycle breaker. And I like how the moon is very much like a boomerang. Like it's kind of like sending the energy back over here. Woo, oh, okay. Woo, okay. Life path number 33. It just gave it to me more like astral projection. Like you learned how to get out of your body, disassociate in some way, either on a spiritual level, a mental level, artistically with the moon, escapism. There's this energy of like stepping outside of yourself, stepping outside of your body, stepping outside of this situation and turning and reflecting on it all. And when you looked at it all, you saw all that stress, all that wounding, all that stuff that was there that caused so much crippling, painful, stressful times. It's like you got that bird's eye view of what your energy was really stuck in, that generational trauma. You can see it turning, right? And then you have this Eight of Cups. It said kind of like, why don't I just leave? That's a traditional energy for an Eight of Cups, that you got to move on to something else. He's studying this very carefully. He's mixing ingredients almost like an alchemist. He's coming to conclusions, right? That's what he's doing there at that station. He's coming to conclusions. And the ultimate conclusion that you gained by stepping out of this cycle and really looking at it was, why don't I just leave? Why don't I just remove myself from this cycle? And that's what makes you a cycle breaker. It's because you see the cycle for what it is, and you remove yourself. And sometimes you have to do that inwardly. Sometimes you have to do that in a way that's like, let me step outside my body and look at this stuff. Can be through spiritual means, can be through other means. But then this other option is like, once you do that, then this way it's like, you know what? I've looked at the situation. I've considered it from an objective point of view. Let me just remove myself from the situation. Let me just sit outside of this ring for a while. So I can formulate my own plans, so I can come to my own conclusions, so that I can decide what's best for me, because this isn't really it. Nice. It came back to that whole idea of someone maybe being physically or mentally disabled after a trauma, after an event. Some people can learn to astral project out of their bodies after that point, and that can really be a spiritual experience that helps put everything into perspective, right? So this can just be about getting out of a mental cycle, this emotional cycle that you might be stuck in, about being down in the dumps, about something that may have happened along your life path that is still very much a big part of you and has affected you, right? There's something there about that isn't mentally, inwardly healthy for you, and it keeps repeating this cycle of getting down on yourself and stuff like that. But it's generational trauma that has been passed down. This is stuff that is very much in your genetic code. Your ancestors, your family members have been going through it for years. You're coping with the same things. How can you help everyone collectively break out of that cycle? For some of you, it is about removing yourself from that cycle. And it just said so that you can find the answers and come back and help other people break that cycle too. It just gave it to me like the students that come from overseas to go to college here in the US, and then they return to their countries overseas with their knowledge to help improve their homeland, right? And it's just saying like how you had to step outside of the ring so you could get a good look at it, so that you could come back and help everybody too. You are a cycle breaker. You are a generational trauma cycle breaker. And you ain't here for just yourself. You're here to help other people too. just said last two. These are the last two. Yeah, that's what I mean. There can be fear with this moon card, and with the death here too. It's like this side gets really heavy. It gets really dark. It's a major arcana. The childhood, the past, all that stuff is very heavy, very dark, very serious, big shifts, big changes, lots of unknown, lots of having to go within yourself. You learned how to, like, I think you literally learned how to astral project, and you've been doing stuff like that for a while. It's like there was something that shocked you, and just like they say with all kinds of other disorders, sometimes those are also a part of spiritual practices. So where you might disassociate and have other things about you, what it really is you're like, it just says shaman, like you're very much a shaman. You're in touch with that other side, with what's beyond the veil. You've come very close to it before. You are very in touch with that energy. It made you really go within yourself, and all of that really shaped you. It turned you into this person who was able to step outside these situations and see all of this for what it really is. All that big shakeup led to someone who can remove themselves from the situation. And again, this is like a reinforcement card. And it's like you gather reinforcements. You create other cycle breakers, because, and that's where it was very much like these are your little disciples in a way. It's like, let me remove myself from the situation so I can come to my own conclusion, so I can study myself and study these things so that I can help other people get out of it too. There's those other people that you help along the way. A Seven of Swords is sometimes a tricky card. It's a trickster card. But at the same time, and there's some of this energy too, and especially if you're dealing with people who are mentally ill, sometimes, and I don't mean this in like any demeaning way, it's just like depending on what state they're in, right? Someone who is mentally sound has to kind of play a little mind trick on them to coerce them to do things that are in their best health interests, right? It's just talking about, it's like giving me patience with dementia and stuff like that, how they get stuck in their worlds, their loops, their things, and you have to help guide them to do what you need to do, right? And you are very much a caregiver, it's saying. It's like, it's showing me, right, like nurses, people who are caregivers, there's these things that you've experienced in your life and you became a caregiver. You're here to help and serve other people. You do have a bit of a trickster energy because you've been through a lot, honey. You know how to deal with these people. You know how to care for these people. You know how to have compassion for these people. You have almost been one of these people, but I actually don't get the sense now that you are one of these people. I think you are a product of a lot of division and separation and things in early life, like very near, close to death experiences, people leaving your life, scary things that really taught you how to separate from situations, come to your own conclusions, and learn how to heal all this. It's like you are a self-healed person, life master, or life master I just said, but life path master number 33. It's like you are a self-healed person and you have learned how to heal others. Ooh, and something just said, by the grace of God. Okay, so right there you go. Like, and that's what you're bestowing and helping to lead on to others. And what's the bottom of the deck? What's on the bottom of the deck? Last card. Queen of Swords. Yes, ma'am. Look at that. And you don't even have to be a ma'am. You very much stand alone, sit alone, heal alone, work alone, but you do it all with your eyes cast and watching over others. There's those swords, and that was a King of Swords that started off, so this is very much like a daughter to a father, right? It's very much like a daughter or granddaughter to a father or grandfather. You've grown up into a very majestic, this is the ancestor speaking to you. You've grown up into a very majestic, beautiful, strong woman or man who stands on their own. You've learned a lot of hard lessons, and something just said, I'm sorry. Something just said, I'm sorry for your hard lessons in life. It was there to shape you into this incredibly beautiful being. And you're just a leader. It's like you've very much grown up in the image of those who came before you, even though you've broken this generational trauma, and that has finally made you this energy, right? It said you're exactly who you're supposed to be. It said you're exactly who you're supposed to be. There you go. That was it. That was the final one. You're exactly who you're supposed to be. Very regal, very beautiful, very strong and independent. Mind clear and steady, healthy, happy, beautiful. That was a message coming through for you. And that's what I got for you. You're a cycle breaker. Keep going. Let me know how it resonates for you. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. I hope to see you guys again on future readings. And thank you so much. Have a good one.